Hey guys, it's churches, graveyards and graves. And we're still at St James's in Swarkestone. So I hope you enjoyed that video about the medieval cross. I just want to show you a couple of graves here. There is quite an array of 18th century graves, but I particularly like when they have, little stories or symbols on them. So there's this one grave and it has got a couple of really slightly interesting symbols, and I like to show them you and for you to have a look, and then we can have a look at some of these beautiful 18th century graves. So I particularly like this grave because it's got some symbolism that you don't see too often. Now you do see trumpets on graves, but mostly they're carried by angels, or they have some sort of angel figure carrying them. But this, for some reason, has just literally got the trumpet. It's a very bold carving into the stone, and it's actually in memory of the Mary, the wife of Thomas Bates, daughter of Francis, and it's from 1796, so it's an 18th century grave. And I particularly like these slate graves because they did last a lot better than the sandstone type. But the trumpet here represents resurrection. So in the Bible, in Revelations, when you see the trumpet sounding, the dead will rise, and that's exactly what this grave is depicting, as well as all these beautiful sort of urns and this sort of mourning robe which denotes sort of grief. You've got this fabulous trumpet with this ribbon around it saying, when the trumpet blows, the dead will rise. So it's hoping that Mary will rise from the dead at the final judgment. And then at the other side of this it's kind of a sun decoration, or symbolic of a sun. You've got this arrow, which again is got this beautiful ribbon around it. So sometimes the arrow showed like the spear of Longinus, where the blood of Jesus, when a spear went into his side, ran. So the blood ran for resurrection and the rising of the dead. So sometimes that's what the spear represents, or the arrow, or also it represents mortality. So that person has passed, particularly if the arrow is pointing down. But in this case, the arrow is pointed up. So you've got to say that they said, yes, they have died, but they've gone straight to heaven with this wonderful ribbon on it, with the blood of Jesus, like representing the spear of Longinus. And alongside the trumpet, it makes sort of like a dual resurrection as such. So off they've gone to heaven, and the trumpet blowing will sound when they rise from the dead. So that's a beautiful grave. It really is a stunner, and this lovely lettering and this beautiful symbolism. So if I just show you here as well, so there's the medieval cross in the background, but all these are 18th century graves here, and you can see them the way they are laid out. So you can always tell an 18th century grave by its style. Now this one is slightly later. This is 1809 and a lot simpler. So often the 18th century graves were actually a lot more elaborately carved. So that's really stunning. So if I can get my dog to move, I just want to show you this little bit. So we'll go around the graveyard a bit because it's a beautiful graveyard. So I'll just come around here. I have to tell my dog to move a little. And there's also, on the side of this church, you've actually got a memorial. So this would have been a much richer, more wealthy person. And this is to Samson Massey Esquire from 1764. So again, 18th century, and he died in the 41st year of his age. And it also says Anne of Nailstone in the county of Leicester, and she died in 1787. So this would have been a memorial to them. And you can see this wonderful coat of arms at the top, which is probably their coat of arms. And you can see it says Pro Libertate Patri there. Pro Libertate Patri. So something like Freedom Father, something like that. And obviously this is their family tomb, but because it's sandstone, sadly a lot of it has been worn away. So to have your memorial at the side of a church, you would have had to have had a lot more wealth that is than any of the other standard graves. And this is what made you stand out in the graveyard, having these wonderful family graves and these fabulous memorials with coat of arms. I hope you enjoyed seeing those two graves at St James in Swarkestone. We've got this wonderful memorial grave, which obviously the wealthy had really much more elaborate graves. But also that other 18th century grave with the trumpet and the arrow on it. You see a lot of arrows, and sometimes you see trumpets on angels, but they're normally a lot later because they're carved angels. So it was really fabulous to just see those two symbols on that wonderful little grave. So from St James's in Swarkestone, please like and share my videos, and if you like them, if you get something from them, if you learn a bit of history, then I'm on Buy Me a Coffee, or you can just, like and share them anyway and get it out as we share this wonderful history together. See you again soon, guys. Bye.